It must be Halloween because Seth is in a completely dark room.
No, I'm actually I'm just working from home today.
Well, we can really need you look like you're in a very, very dark room. So
I can maneuver if possible.
Maneuver,
God knows, I gotta put on a hat. I got crazy hair.
So I would say live from Pittsburgh. This is the Seth and Sean Sports Radio Show. We promise that by the end of this show today, you will have our NHL and NBA predictions, as we have been promising that for 2 weeks. But before we do that, we must talk, unfortunately, about the untimely passing of Fernando Valenzuela, who was really the first dominant pitcher I remember. And granted, I was 5, and then I was 5, and then 7, and then 9. But Fernando, there was nobody like him. The first lefty I remember, Seth, the first lefty pitcher I remember. I'm sure you remember Guidry more than you remember Fernando as being a Yankee fan. But to me, it was always.
But Guidry was dominant was really only dominant in 1978.
Mm-hmm.
That was his Roger Clemens 85, Gooden 85. That was Guidry's year. I think he was 25-3 with a 1.74 ERA.
And we were 2.
Well, I don't remember watching him.
No, that's what I'm saying. And we were 2. That's what I'm saying. And I don't remember Fernando in 1981 either.
No.
But I do remember Fernando in 1983 and 84 and 85. I do remember him then. And to me, he was the dominant pitcher of the early 1980s. And then you have, there we go. Much better. So he's the dominant pitcher of the early 1980s. And it's unfortunate he passes away in general, but more importantly that he
I'm sure both his family and Dodger fans agree with you. It is unfortunate.
Well, I was saying in general, but the timing sucks even worse, right? I mean, it's on the eve of the start of the first World Series between the Dodgers and the Yankees since 1981, which was Fernando's year. So, I mean, the irony is not lost. And I can't say that I'm happy to see the Dodgers play the Yankees. I'm not. I wish I was planning for my Cleveland excursion on Friday, but that didn't happen. But if you ask me in June, would I be happy rooting? I always say you're a sports fan so you can have meaningful games in whatever month that last month of the year is, right? So
that has always been your philosophy.
Meaningful games in September. If you're a Jets fan, meaningful games in January. If you're Islanders fan, meaningful
even December.
Right. Just it's not Zach Wilson all is lost in October, right? Or something along those lines. And the Mets started out 0-5, and this is, I guess, my epilogue to the Mets year. Started out 0-5. Never in a million years did I think that they'd be in the playoffs, let alone get to where they did. And they were the most fun team I remember in decades. I mean, they were more fun than the 2015 team that went to the World Series. They were more fun than the team that played the Yankees in the World Series. This was a fun team.
I think part of fun comes with really being unexpected.
That's fair.
And the 2000 team was stacked.
Mm-hmm.
The 2015 team had really good starting pitching.
Yeah.
Where you didn't think they were the favorite per se, but you knew that going into the season that they would be relevant.
Yeah.
Nobody really saw this team being relevant.
Nobody saw this team being a 500 team, let alone anything more. I mean,
to be fair, I wasn't really sure the Yankees were going to be a 500 team.
Well, the 2 biggest salary players on this team are not playing on this team. Well, actually, I'm sorry, 2 out of the 3.
Is Bobby Bonilla still there?
No.
Is he still getting paid?
No, stop it. Basta. I will tell you, every single Mets fan will have a party on July 5th, the year that Bonilla's contract ends. So, but the fact is, look, you're paying for Verlander, you're paying for Scherzer, right?
Mm-hmm.
And other than Francisco Lindor, you don't have a guy earning over $20 million on this team.
What is Alonso earning right now?
About
I know
20.
he's going to be a free agent.
Yeah, about 20. Diaz is earning about 20. I think Diaz got made a 5-year, $100 million contract.
Yeah, it was some
Yeah,
ridiculous.
so I mean, they're all around 20, but you're not the. I'm going to say this: you're not the Yankees, right? You're not Garrett Cole earning 38, Judge earning 40, Soto earning 35. Like you're not in there. Anthony Rizzo earning 16. Like guys.
Well, I mean, if you knock out Scherzer and you knock out, because if I remember correctly, the top 3 overall payrolls in baseball are the Dodgers, the Mets, and then the Yankees. And I understand that $50 million of the Mets is dead money.
Yeah,
give or take.
Yeah.
I don't know about the other teams.
It's actually more. It's actually more. It's a lot of, like, they get $75 million coming off their payroll at the end of this year. Like it's a lot. And
we know who you're going to make a run at. I mean, we know one person you're going to make a run.
Well, yeah. I mean, and why would you not if you have it, right? I mean, there's no reason not to make the run at that, especially if you're not going to re-sign Pete Alonso. And I wouldn't be the least bit surprised if Alonso winds up in the Bronx and Soto winds up in Queens. And
not exactly a trade-off that I would be overly excited about.
Would you be overly excited by it if Alonso earned 22 and Soto earned 62? You might be.
It's not my money. I don't think it's as. I don't particularly want Alonso.
Well, I guess what it comes right down.
Don't we have Spencer? Don't we have don't we have Spencer Jones in our farm system ready to move up for the first base anyway?
I thought he played outfield, Spencer Jones.
But I mean, he's 6'20". He's 6'22".
Yeah, but so was Aaron Judge.
End up a first baseman.
So was Aaron Judge.
He's only 6'8". I think Jones is actually bigger. But
22.
But that's a number, right? I think that's an accounting number.
Yeah.
But Alonso will have more value to Mets and Mets fans than to anybody else.
Yes, but that doesn't mean that you should pay him what he wants.
No, I have no. First of all, I have no idea what he wants.
Well, so he turned down an 8-year. I think it was an 8. I mean, these are reports. A 6-year, $150 million contract, so $25 million a year. That's what he turned down. He wants Freddie Freeman.
He's not getting any more.
He wants $30 million.
He's not getting it.
He's not getting it on a 6-year deal. He may get it on a 3-year deal.
Possibly.
If you're in the Mets, you offer that 3-year deal and you say thank you very much, and that's it. But you're right. He's worth more to the Mets than he is anybody else. That doesn't mean you pay him.
No.
And there's no Mets fan, truth be told, no Mets fan that I have talked to that says that he's worth it. None. We'll move Vientos over to first. We'll get ourselves another third baseman. We'll be fine. Because, yes, the home run that he hit in the championships or the divisional playoffs and then won in the championship series was defining, right? I mean, he went down and got that ball, and it was
he did.
Rocket out. But he batted .240 this year. Like, that's not.
He's never. I mean, that's what he is. Though.
He's Mark McGwire.
Yeah, I was going to say a better hitting Dave Kingman.
Oh, no. He's a much better hitting Dave Kingman.
Kingman was a 200 hitter who hit 40 home runs every year.
Yeah. Steve Balboni.
I mean, look, as I said, he has a lot more value than that. But he's not Freddie Freeman.
No.
He's not.
He's not an MVP candidate. He's not an MVP candidate.
No. You have one MVP candidate who has earned his contract this year, which I think everyone was pleasantly surprised by. I mean, after last year, did you feel comfortable with the Lindor contract?
No, I said he completely turned me around. Completely.
Yes.
And like you said, the expectations weren't there. So it became a fun team, right? It was, right. And it really was.
Right. Why was the Yankees 95 team more fun than any of the teams that won the championship? You know, the fun part is when
Jim Leyritz.
is when you beat expectation.
Yep.
And that, this Mets team, because you look at the pitching, nothing. I mean,
Well, certainly at the start of the year, right?
I mean, Manaea is not exactly the guy you're going to assume is going to be the ace on a team that's going to win the World Series.
Sure.
Lindor was sensational. Vientos has been wonderful. But you don't look at this team and say, damn, like this feels like a World's. I'll tell you, none of these teams to me feel like a World Series team.
The Dodgers do.
Talent-wise, yeah, they're the most talented.
They are stacked. Their lineup reminds me of the 88 A's, where there is no Terry Steinbach was batting 7th.
I can probably name about eight of those starters, give or take.
McGuire, who was at second base?
Mike Gallego. No, he wasn't. He was later.
Nope. Who was at second base?
I should know this. Third base was Lansford.
Yes.
Outfield.
I just pulled it up, by the way. I just pulled it up.
What'd you say?
I just pulled it up just to see.
Shortstop was Walt Weiss.
Shortstop was Walt Weiss. You are not going to get the second baseman.
Okay, give me.
And Gallego was on the team. He played 129 games, but he only had 320 plate appearances, which means
at least he
was the super sub, right? He was the
Right,
starter.
so the outfield was Henderson.
Yep.
Canseco, and was it Dave Henderson also?
Ricky wasn't on this team.
Ricky wasn't on 88?
He was not on 88. 88, they lost the World Series. 89 was their team. Sorry,
I'm 89. 89 was the earthquake year.
And you're right. Gallego played shortstop. Weiss played 84 games. Gallego played 133. So your second baseman you might get now. Think of baseball cards.
Well, then I go to Billy Ripken, and that's not the answer.
Okay, so you're right on Ricky, Dave, but you didn't get the right fielder correctly.
Canseco wasn't there in 89?
So Canseco played only 65 games in 89.
He was injured, I guess?
I guess so. So the 89 right fielder was Stan Javier, who was traded for Ricky Henderson.
Rick traded for Ricky Henderson, but I would never have gotten that.
And Ricky only played 85 games. This is insane when you think about all these guys. This team is so deep. So your second baseman is Tony Phillips.
Okay. Again, I wouldn't have thought of it.
Yeah. Okay. And then your DH was Dave Parker.
Okay. Then your starting pitching, if I remember correctly, was Stewart, Welch. Welch won the MVP. Was that the year Welch won the MVP with 27 wins? Or the Cy Young with 27 wins? Are you frozen? So this is why our show is so great, because who the hell would ever figure with the NBA previews and the NHL previews that we would be talking about the 1988 A's?
Yeah. All right. So let's go on to the NBA previews.
Wait. You didn't finish. You didn't answer the question. Who? So the pitching staff was Stewart was the ace. Welch was that the year Welch won 27 and 10?
No, he won that in 87. Hold on, my computer's all going nuts. So it was Kurt Young was the fifth starter. Mike Moore was on that team.
Rick Honeycutt.
Honeycutt was in the bullpen.
Yes.
You had Stewart, Moore, Welch, Storm Davis, and Kurt Young. And then Dennis Eckersley.
Okay, that's not as impressive as I would have.
They all won 17 games except for Kurt Young. Kurt Young had a 3.73 ERA and went 5-9. But of course, Dennis Eckersley has an ERA plus of 2.39 and a strikeout to walk ratio of 18.
Well, that's why he was the greatest reliever of all time before
He
Mariano.
never walked a damn batter. He had 3 walks. He gave up more home runs than he did walks. That's insane.
Jesus.
His whip was .607. Yeah. Yeah, not bad.
So before we jump to the NHL previews and the NBA previews and all that jazz, who do you like in the series?
Who do I like or who do I want? They may actually be the same thing, but
I think for you they are. For me, they're not.
yeah, the Dodgers and the Dodgers.
I think the Dodgers are about a 60-40 favorite to win this. I think that the Yankees are a very live underdog.
Yeah.
Because their starting staff is better. And the way that combination of Stanton, Judge, and Soto is terrifying. But the bottom of their lineup doesn't match up. So where the Dodgers have problems is Buehler's is still not back to Buehler. Flaherty is not the number one starter on a team going to on a World Series champion, you wouldn't think. And Yamamoto had a really nice game, but again, coming off injury, nobody has any confidence, I don't think, in the Dodgers staff. I do think the Dodgers are a better team. If I was putting money, I would pick them to win. But I think it's a very close series.
Yeah. I mean, it's going to be a close series. Like I said, I picked the Dodgers in 6. The losers are the fans because the prices of these tickets are ridiculous. Like off like $1,600 to get into the stadium, into Yankee Stadium for game 1. 16, and if you go to LA, it's 1,100 right now. That doesn't mean if the Dodgers,
I'll watch from my basement.
If the Dodgers win 1 out of the first 2, you know that 1,100 is going to double, right? Because okay, so before we get off this, new appreciation. Okay, I had seen all the Ohtani highlights the entire year. Right? You just watch highlight after highlight after highlight, and you appreciate what he does, but you don't see the day in, day out of what he does, right? You see the home run, you see the other home run, you see everything. I watched every game that the Mets played against the Dodgers. I don't remember the last time there was a guy I feared more coming up. Ever. And that includes Judge. That includes Trout. That includes McGuire, Sosa, Bonds. And the fact that he leads off, like this is an analytics thing, right? You put him first so he gets the most at bats, as opposed to putting him third or fourth.
Plus he also stole 50 bases.
Well, that's true. That's true too. But I'm more afraid of him parking it. I don't care about him stealing a base. I'd love to put him on first, Seth. I mean, if I had my druthers, I would walk him every single time to lead off the game because I think he's going to hit a home run all the time. And the last time I was that scared of somebody, I don't know who that was. I mean,
he is something we've never seen before.
And he's not even pitching yet.
Nope.
And if you think he's going to go 50-50 again, I don't think that's going to happen.
Because he's going to be pitching not when you're pitching 30 games a year.
Right. And more importantly, he did it, right? So it's done.
Right.
Like he accomplished, and now we're done. But
we're not going for 60-60?
If he needs another Tommy John surgery, maybe. If he hurts his arm and his shoulder and he gets to just hit, I truthfully believe he could hit one-handed and do it. Like he is.
Is he the best player you've ever seen? Or too early to tell?
He's the best hitter I've ever seen.
Okay.
I mean, it's between him and Bonds, right?
Wow.
And the thing about Bonds is, I don't care what he took, he's still that hitter, right? Like, I don't have to respect him for what he did, for how he did it. I don't have to appreciate the stats, but he still hit the ball. And that's really, really hard. So, no, Bonds is one of the best hitters I've ever seen. And Ohtani is right there. And I don't recall, I was not as, I've always been a big baseball fan, but I got to tell you, I did not watch with intent when Mike Trout was in his prime.
No, because they were never relevant.
Right. And I certainly didn't watch a lot of Angels games. This guy's impressive. Everything about him is impressive. And everything about Mookie Betts is impressive too. So, I mean,
I don't think there's a more likable player in Major League Baseball than Mookie Betts.
Well, okay, Mookie. We have a hole at second base. Can we put you there? Sure. Okay, Mookie, we're going to spring training and we just lost our shortstop because our shortstop has Steve Sax syndrome. So we want to move him to second. You mind playing shortstop where you haven't played since high school? Sure, no problem. Oh, Mookie, we just got Tommy Edman. He plays shortstop. You mind mid-season after you come back from your injury, can we move you back to right field where you were a Gold Glover last year? Sure, no problem. Never anything bad, right? Not one peep from this guy. First of all, he's a fantasy dream because he plays 3 positions and he's amazing. But yeah, I would agree with you. I think he's one of the more likable players. And he's one of those guys that I haven't deep dug into the stats, but he may be a Hall of Famer if he retired tomorrow.
I think there's a good chance of that.
Yeah. By the way, next week we're going to get into. I had pinged Seth last week about this. Players that you never remember playing for anybody else, because my God, there are a lot of those, and I went down a rabbit hole with some of them. So okay, so
you went down a rabbit hole. I'm stunned.
Yeah. So talking about teams with expectations. Last night, we saw a team with expectations get totally destroyed on the parquet floor of Boston Garden. And yes, it's game 1. And yes, every fear that I had about this team came true in game 1. But yes, it's game 1 out of 82. 80? 80 or 82? 82.
82.
I still like them over the course of the season. But their depth.
It's one game on the road.
I know their depth just totally.
The day that Boston raised the banner. Every year the same thing happens. Either the team completely shits the bed when they give them, or they play like that. There's no in between.
Agreed. No, I'm with you. Okay, so let's talk about this. So. I mean, right now, the Celtics are 1-0 and the Knicks are 0-1. So the Celtics are in first place and the Knicks are in last place. That will not, the latter will not stand for the entire year. The Lakers are also in first place and the Timberwolves are in last place. Also things that will not stand over the course of the year. Give me your most surprising team in the league this year. The team that makes the biggest jump.
Oh, the biggest jump is easy. The biggest jump is the Grizzlies.
Okay, just because of injury concerns.
Bane was out. Morant was out. Jaren Jackson was out. Marcus Smart was out. You literally lost your entire team.
Yep, agreed.
Because going into last year,
are they a top 4 team? Top 4 team in the West?
Yes.
Okay. Are they okay, so if they're a top 4 team in the West, are you picking them? I guess you're picking them second over the Timberwolves, right? Because, right? I mean,
I have to go division by division.
I mean, they're in the division. Memphis is in the division with the Pelicans, the Mavericks, the Rockets, and the Spurs. So I guess they're second and maybe first. They might win that division over Dallas.
Why wouldn't they?
Well, Dallas.
No,
right.
I think they're better than Dallas.
So let's go through this. So let's go to the Eastern Conference first. So we got the Celtics, Nets, 76ers, Raptors, Knicks. So we got 3 teams that are all going to be fighting, and we got 2 teams that are all going to be tanking. And and capture the flag is my new favorite thing, because I really think that like 6 teams are going to be playing capture the flag. How much can I suck to get Cooper Flag? And your Brooklyn Nets are right there. They just acquired their picks back so they could do this. I have a better question for you. Not first of all, over under on how many wins the Brooklyn Nets have for the year.
25.
Oh, okay, that's actually high. At least I think it's high. All right, so I'm going to name.
Simply because you have other teams that are going to be trying to. So many teams are going to be trying to shit the bed.
Okay, so I'm going to name.
That seems to be my saying for the day.
I'm gonna name some guys. Are these guys on the roster after the trade deadline? Nick Claxton.
Yes.
Dorian Finney-Smith.
No.
Cameron Johnson.
No.
$22 million is a lot of money for Cam Johnson. Ben Simmons.
Yes, but but he's a 3-and-D guy that can. Someone will trade for him. The value is not going to be enormous.
Ben Simmons.
Yes, he'll stay there because nobody's going to trade for him.
Okay, and the last guy, you got Cam Johnson. Who's the guy that I always
Cam Thomas.
Cam Thomas.
I think they're going to keep Cam Thomas. He's still on a rookie deal. How many more first-round picks? They have 7 or 8, whatever it is, 8, 9 first-round picks the next 4 years. There would have to be a pretty significant outlay to get him, I think.
So Ben Simmons is on an expiring contract, $40 million. Claxton, who you said was going to be on the team or not on the team?
Yeah, they just re-signed him to a 4-year.
I know they did. 4-year deal, and he's got base compensation. Really hard contract to trade.
Yeah, I don't think they're trading Claxton.
Cam Johnson has 3 years and $67 million. So $23 million a year. 28 years old. Good player. Good contract. I have a hard time seeing in this age of matching dollar for dollar, you have a certain amount of teams, and you may disagree with me, that aren't looking to improve. They're looking.
Agreed.
And those teams that are looking to improve don't have a lot of cap space. So if you are over the first apron, it has to be dollar for dollar, right?
Yeah,
the Nets can take back more. I think the Nets are under the cap.
They are.
The Nets are over the cap.
Are they really?
They are under the first apron, so they can take up to $5 million. So they can take back more than they gave, up to 120%. But they are over the cap. They're $41 million over the cap, believe it or not.
Wow. Yeah. As you said, the Nets. Once it was over. It was over. It was over real fast. And they are not a talented team at this point. They don't really have pieces. You have a lot of draft picks, which is why, the Mikal Bridges deal, you did what you had to do. Just like the Knicks think they did what they had to do.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. You know me, I think that they gave out way too much in the Bridges deal. I think I hate the Towns deal. I hated it at the time. I hated it last year. I will hate it forever. They bring
unless they win a title.
That is the only way I will like that deal. The only way.
I got it.
Okay. So Brooklyn wins 25 games. The Raptors sneak in, don't sneak in. This is a team.
Sneak into what?
The playoffs, the play-in.
Maybe them and the Bulls will probably be competing for the play-in.
And I don't think either one of them wants to be in the play-in. But I mean,
I mean, the Bulls. There is some talent there.
Wait, you think there's talent on the Bulls? Where?
No, compared to the Nets. Compared to the maybe Charlotte, Lonzo Ball is finally back. Brandon Miller's still there. The two teams that unequivocally no one is getting anywhere near are Brooklyn and Washington.
And by the way, I placed one bet when I was in Vegas. One. Under 22 wins on the Washington Wizards. Under.
I would probably bet under half of that. I think they threatened
under 11 wins.
I think they threatened the Philly team for what a 73 Philly team or whoever it was as possibly the worst team of all time.
11 wins?
I don't think they're going to be much more than that.
So, wow. 11 wins. So they're going to wow. Okay.
Look at that lineup.
I know the lineup. I've dealt with the lineup. The lineup is Jordan Poole is your starting point guard. Bilal Koulibaly is your shooting guard. Kyle Kuzma is your small forward. Alex Sarr, is your power forward. And Jonas Valanciunas is your center. How many of those five how many of Valanciunas, Kuzma, and Poole are on the team post trade deadline?
One.
Which one?
Poole, because nobody's going to trade for that contract.
Okay. I mean, Valanciunas is $10 million. That's
an easy one,
right? And
Kuzma can be the number 3 on a real contender.
I wonder where Kuzma could go. Like, because again, let's pick a contender. Let's pick Dallas, right? Dallas needs a small forward, right? I mean, give or take.
Kuzma's kind of a mix, kind of a combo guard, 3-4. So who do they have the center of Lively,
right? And they have Gafford, right?
Again, centered.
Right, they have a couple of centers. Oh, PJ Washington. So they're probably not trading for Kyle Kuzma. I mean, PJ Washington's kind of a duplicate of Kyle Kuzma. I'm just thinking of like teams that would need a Kyle Kuzma, that could afford a Kyle Kuzma, that have a spot for a Kyle Kuzma and aren't in the second apron. Because in the second apron, you're not making trades. So where are you? And you have to give something back to Washington, right? They want first-round picks. So
yeah, but if let's just say you're Dallas.
Yep.
You're making the run with this team now.
Yep.
You're not worried about the number 26 pick in the draft.
No, but you have to have those picks too, right?
Well, you're saying they're not trading Kyle Kuzma to the Nets. They're trading Kyle Kuzma to a team that thinks that they can compete. That Kuzma may be the one, I don't want to say the missing piece because that's asking a lot. But you're trading Kuzma to a team that has a couple star players.
Yeah.
Again, I'm not talking about contracts. But just on a high level.
Yep.
If Wiggins isn't any better, do you look in Golden State, who have Kuminga, who should be competing for most improved or sixth man, who have Pazelski and have Curry and all that. I mean, I think Golden State's window is obviously closed, but there are teams that you can trade him to that need that 3-4.
Yeah.
I mean, I have to think about who they would be. I can't think of it off the top of my head.
I'm with you. Okay. So hold on one second. Okay. So, all right. So 11 games. So we're obviously picking Washington to be at last, right? I mean, if you're only winning 11 games, you're probably going to be last.
Well, look, that's what I said. That's not what you said, to be fair.
Oh, but I still picked them to be last. I mean, so you got Boston winning that division, my assumption is?
Yeah.
You got Philly or the Knicks next.
The Knicks.
And then you
Philly,
got Philly.
I mean, how do you trust Philly to stay healthy?
I don't trust Philly to stay healthy at all. That's why
Right. Well, then
I'm not concerned about Phil. Truth be told, until you get me to May,
I'm not concerned about Philly at all.
And you can show me Joel Embiid and Paul George are healthy, I'm not concerned about Philly at all. Not one bit.
I agree.
Okay. And if you get me to May or June and they're healthy, I'm concerned up until the point that they're not healthy, which will be like 2 days later.
Yeah.
Because I will tell you, Joel Embiid will not be on an All-NBA team this year.
No, because he's not going to play the second of back-to-backs.
Right. Neither will Paul George in all likelihood. So, and that may
or
be
they'll alternate, which also may mean for seeding problem, they're going to have a problem with seeding.
Yeah. So, okay. So Boston. So we got Boston.
This is the easiest division to pick. It's very simply Boston, Knicks, Philly, Brooklyn, Washington.
Okay.
And there's probably 4 or 5 games in between each of those teams.
Okay. So let's go to the Central. So I'm going to pick the Central first.
Okay.
I think Cleveland's going to win 55 games and win this division.
Okay.
I don't think this team is built for the playoffs at all. I think they are going to get crushed in the playoffs by whoever they play. But for a regular season team, this team outside of Boston may be the most talented team in the NBA. Just strictly on talent. If you look at what they got, I mean, Max Strus being out does not help. But between Donovan Mitchell, Eric Mobley, who they bring in Kenny Atkinson, so they got Mobley, Allen, Garland, and Mitchell. Those 4 are as talented as you find in the NBA, and they got 2 big, and 2 small men.
Yeah, I think, as you said, their talent is sensational. The question is, does it work in the playoffs?
Right. Well, that's what I'm saying. I don't think.
No, I get it. I mean, I have really no argument. I'm assuming they're going to trade Allen. Now, I mean, borderline all-star center on a reasonable contract for a couple more years. I think he's on a 4-year, $100 million with 2 or 3 years left. I could be wrong. Just off the top of my head. So, because him and Mobley just, it's not redundant, but it doesn't mesh.
So
also,
Allen's got, he just signed an extension through 2029. It's about, it was a 3-year, 90 million. So he's earning about 30. So
okay,
I'll tell you, I'd love to see him next to Wemby.
That makes that team really, really interesting. I just don't know I don't know what San Antonio can give up for that. Because Cleveland's playing for now.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, do you trade Garland? Because I mean, look, you can build around Mitchell and Mobley. Mitchell signed the 3-year extension. You got 3 years with them. Mobley signed the 5. Like, you have those 2 for at least 3 more years.
And again, you have to put yourself in. See, this is the hard part with the new cap and the new rules is if you're trading Allen, what are you getting back? How can you deal with that? Right?
You're not trading Allen to get rid of Allen.
Well,
this is not a Kuzma deal where you're trading whatever assets you get.
But are you trading the best player for a couple of lower players that may equal a better player, right? Where if you're not going to get 1-for-1 value for Jared Allen.
No.
Nowhere in the league is there a team that will be able
Jared Allen's contract may be honestly just about it may be your Mikal Bridges in the good old days.
Well,
that's a good deal.
But my point is Jared Allen goes to San Antonio. San Antonio may be able to give up 2 guys that may equal Jared Allen, which may make Cleveland better, right? Because that may work. But you are not going to find a 1-for-1 deal for Jared Allen at the salary that you have that fits Cleveland. It just doesn't work. I mean, Jimmy Butler's that guy, but does that work? That works for Miami. They love that 100 times out of 100. But
no, they're not taking. They have Adebayo. What are they going to do with Allen?
If Adebayo is Adebayo from the Olympics, then Adebayo moves to the 4 and you play him and Allen together. You have enough shooting. The difference is Miami has enough shooting. Cleveland just doesn't. If Mitchell and Garland were better shooters, that would work. The problem is they all play in the middle. None of them could shoot. So anyway, we're digressing. So anyway, so I have the Cavs, then the Bucks, then Indiana, then Chicago, and then Detroit. And I'm making a wager next week in Vegas. I have this. I'd like to know what the odds are that the Pistons get the number 5 pick in the draft again. Because I'll put $20. Because I will put 5. Because you know what the thing is too? They'll wind up 5th best, and they'll actually get the number 5 pick. Like everybody else, like every other team, they're the worst, and they get like the 1st or 2nd. Not the Pistons. They always drop down to 5. They will be the 5th pick, and they will get the 5 pick. They will be the 5th worst. How many wins do the Pistons have this year?
About 27, 28, something like that.
So just equal with the Nets, or give or take, close to the Nets.
A little bit above the Nets.
Okay. So what's your order in this division?
Sadly, the same as yours. I actually agree with you. I think Milwaukee is literally working for the playoffs at this point. They're not remotely concerned about. They just don't want to have. They just don't want to be in the play-in. Yeah, they're not concerned about whether they're the 2 seed or the 4 seed. It doesn't matter.
I mean, you have the line. Everybody's working for the weekend. I think for them, everybody's working for the play-in.
Well, you also have, to be fair, the health.
Yeah.
We don't know what the health is going to be of Middleton.
Well, we do. We know that he had double ankle surgery.
It's not great.
No, I'm saying in a negative point. We know he had double ankle surgery this summer. Oh, okay. We know he's missing the first week of the season. We know Embiid's missing the first week of the season. This is already happening, Seth.
Yes, I understand.
Yeah.
Well, what I'm saying is, when was the last time we saw Middleton healthy? 3 years ago?
Yeah, in the playoffs. All right. Orlando, and in the award for worst division, the Southeast. My Lord, it's Orlando and everybody else.
Yep. Orlando, Miami, Atlanta, Charlotte, Washington.
No. Well, Orlando, Miami, Charlotte,
okay,
Atlanta.
You're doing it to be contrarian.
No, I'm not. I do not believe in that Atlanta Hawks team at all. Not one bit. I think that Atlanta Hawks team, it's really unfortunate they don't own their picks. And it's really fortunate for San Antonio that they do, because that's going to be a top 5 pick. I mean, that's definitely going to be a lottery pick. I don't think they make the playoffs. I don't even think they make the play-in game. That is a disaster.
Do they trade Trae Young?
They can't. Where?
I don't
for
think
who
so either.
And how? And $40 million. And no, where? Again, where and how? And look, if you are an Atlanta Hawks fan and you got rid of DeJounte Murray.
Do the Atlanta Hawks have any fans?
They do. Look, I don't think anybody goes to the stadium to actually watch basketball, but people do attend the stadium. Look, attend the games.
Okay.
The games there are a fashion show. That's what they are. At the first quarter break, they always say, "Look at the new rapper," and I'm like, "Who?" Every single time.
More importantly, do they show you Jamie Gertz?
They do not. Jamie Gertz is never on. Okay. So no, that's not contrarian. The Atlanta Hawks have two building blocks: Zachary Richardson and Jalen Johnson, and that's it.
They also have a guy who's 25 and 10. He may be a turnstile on defense, but
you're talking about assists. When somebody says 25 and 10, I'm thinking rebounds. I was like, who plays for that team? I was like, am I missing something? Nobody rebounds on that team. You're right. He's 25 points, 10 assists. You are spot on correct. And he is an absolute ridiculously turnstile on defense. And even more so, 4 turnovers a game as a point guard.
Yes. Understood.
I mean,
I would have kept DeJounte. I would have kept
love
DeJounte.
watching him because it's so amazingly awful. Excuse me. So amazingly awful to watch his defense. It's just like he could be waving on the way to the guy going to the basket, and that would be more effort than he generally puts into playing defense because then he's acknowledging that somebody has the ball. Okay. And to be fair, I think he played defense last year so he wouldn't get traded. So I think now we're going to find that he doesn't play defense again. Okay, Western Conference. Orlando wins how many games? Oh, sorry, not Orlando. Oklahoma City wins how many games? Excuse me.
Around 60.
More or less than the Celtics?
Less, simply because their division is so much more difficult.
Okay. Is their division that much more difficult?
Yes, because none of us have faith that Philly can stay healthy.
Do we have any faith that Portland is in anything other than capture the flag?
No, Portland is Washington.
Utah?
Utah is the Nets. Nets.
But we got Minnesota and Denver. So that's where your stake is. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, so I have Oklahoma City, Denver, Minnesota, Utah, Portland, and I think Utah eventually gives up like they do every other year around mid-year.
Yeah, they try really hard and then they stop around.
Then they say we need our draft pick again, so we throw a couple of games.
Do they trade Laurie? Make it?
No, they can't.
Contract's
they can't.
too big at this point.
So they re-signed him to an extension the day after the 6 months would be ending for the trade deadline. You can't trade newly signed players for 6 months.
Yep.
The 6-month window ends the day after the trade deadline.
I'll flip Minnesota and Denver.
Okay.
From yours.
Which means Minnesota.
I'm starting to become concerned about Denver.
I'm starting to be concerned about Minnesota.
I thought you liked the deal for Minnesota. You didn't love it.
I did. First of all, I want to see who owns that damn team because I want to see who could. Yeah. All right. By the way, that's our next question. Who owns the team? A-Rod
and Mark Lordy will own the team.
Eventually. They'll just pay a whole lot more money. Okay. Pacific Division. I have this is a whole lot.
It's a whole lot of 2019.
Yeah, I'm going to go Suns, Kings, Warriors, Lakers, Clippers. Which sounds awful. All of that is awful. There's a whole lot of 45-win teams in this division.
Yeah, I'm pretty much there. The Suns, I have no confidence in because I don't know what their depth is at this point. I mean, Tyus Jones is a nice addition.
I love the Tyus Jones addition. Love it.
But they're not a strong, they're not a – I mean, look, they're very top-heavy. Booker is fantastic. Durant is still Durant. Bradley Beal, nobody knows what to make of at this point, but he's untradeable.
Yep.
And they have no depth.
Yep.
But you look around, Sacramento's pretty good. It's just a question of whether if DeRozan fits, Sacramento can challenge Phoenix for the division.
Yeah. The Clippers, by the way, some guy put, I think it was $5 on Kawhi Leonard playing 75 games in Vegas.
With the odds 3,000 to 1?
He would have won $175,000.
Oh, I said 3,000 to 1 would put him at.
Yeah. By the way, Kawhi Leonard is out indefinitely now, so you will be losing that bet without any problem.
Can they trade him?
No. $50 million. Where? Who wants it? In today's world, who wants it?
If you're trading for that, you want someone playing 70, 75 games a year.
Or you want an MVP. Kawhi's not an MVP anymore. He hasn't been an MVP in 3 years. 3-4 years. Here's the thing, which I wasn't shocked by the re-signing, but the re-signing of Joel Embiid for 3 additional years, starting at $60 million. Now, this is 2 years down the road, so you're in a 5-year deal. I'm not sure he's playing 60 games this year. When am I thinking he's playing in 4 years? But you know what? That's the cost of doing business when you're in Philly. Okay, Dallas wins the division. New Orleans has the most interesting starting lineup of all time without a center. But I will take Memphis over New Orleans. So Dallas, Memphis, New Orleans, the Rockets, and the Spurs. The Rockets did, by the way. Love what the Rockets did.
I am going to go Memphis, New Orleans, Dallas.
Oh.
I don't love Dallas.
So you got Dallas literally in the play-in then.
Pretty much. They're going to be challenging for the 6. They'll be at the 6. Bear with me. Sorry, I lost track on the divisions. Sorry. Give me 1 second.
So you had, if I'm correct, you had
Memphis, New Orleans, Dallas,
Houston, San Antonio.
That is a good division. That's a really good deep division. Because literally we're putting San Antonio with 4 guys who would probably play for just about any team. And Vassell, Johnson, Wembyana, and Paul. Although Paul, is like 86 years old, but I can't read that division, to be honest.
Well, the thing about this division, Seth, is aside from the Spurs, who you don't have a lot of expectations for to begin with, each one of these teams, one guy could kill the entire team. One injury can kill the entire team. If Ja Morant does what Ja Morant has done the last 3 years, Memphis is back to being a lottery team.
Yes.
If Houston loses Alfred Şengün for an extreme amount of period of time, they're back to being a lottery team. And understanding they won like 15 out of 16 without him last year, but they also played the equivalent of the Washington Wizards most of the time.
You understand.
If Dallas loses Luka or Kyrie for an extended period of time, they're probably going to be, or you can even make the case of Derek Lively at this point, they're probably a lottery team. New Orleans loses Zion, they're going to be a lottery team.
New Orleans, to me, is the most fascinating team in basketball.
Well, because their starting lineup will include nobody over 6'8". Their starting lineup right now is Zion according to ESPN, Herb Jones is 6'7", 206, and he's playing center.
And it's the way of the world at this point.
Well, no, just for okay. So let's call out these lovely centers in the NBA in his division. So 6'7" Herb Jones is going to go against 7'4" Victor Wembanyama. Because that would work. 6'7" Herb Jones is going to play against 7'2" Zach Edey. That'll work. 6'7" Herb Jones and 270 pounds is going to go against Alfred Şengün, who is 243 and.
Is that where Jonas is going back to?
Wait, so it gets better because that's not even. So now 6'7", 203, and granted, this is probably the best of all situations, goes against Gafford, but who's 6'10", but giving up 58 pounds to Daniel Gafford. So when you talk about five around, right? They can do 5 around. They don't have to have anybody in the middle. And they might as well not have anybody in the middle. Because they're not going to get a rebound anyway.
No, they'll trade for somebody at some point. But yeah, they're going to end up trading Ingram, I'm assuming.
To where? Show me an Ingram deal that works.
Dude, I'm not the NBA trade machine.
There isn't one. No, seriously.
But he's expiring this year.
Okay, tell me a team that needs Brandon Ingram will pay Brandon Ingram
on an expiring deal,
and will give up stuff for Brandon Ingram. Because if you're Brandon Ingram, you're a 3-4, right? You're in that mode. Okay. You're being traded to a team. A team's not acquiring you unless they're extending you because they're not giving up any value for half a season. Now, you have to have the cap room for $45 million.
I understand. I get it. There's nobody. The problem is, do you make the trade to make the 1-year run?
You can't give it up. You don't have $45 million in cap.
Yes, because I get it. Because any team that's going to make the run doesn't have the salary cap capabilities.
So the only teams that have room for Brandon Ingram, a desire for Brandon Ingram, and possibly could re-sign Brandon Ingram, and remember he wants like $60 million to re-sign, are the Wizards, all the guys that are going for capture the flag. And they have no desire to make their team better this year. None.
No. And Ingram, obviously, while a very nice player, is not that player.
Correct. The only other team that you could see this happening is a bad trade contract for a bad trade contract. And there's only one of those out there. And New Orleans has no desire to acquire Zach LaVine for 2 more years, $100 million. So, look, the one place he could have gone was Sacramento. He could have gone there, and then they signed DeMar DeRozan. So that's over too. So Brandon Ingram is likely to be stuck in New Orleans for the rest of this year, and then he will go and find that $50 million does not exist anywhere. So there you go. Okay, we got 5 minutes left. We'll get into we'll continue this next week because we didn't get into our picks, and we have NHL picks as well. So 3 more minutes. Seth, go first if you would like. Have at it.
You can go first to start. I want to.
All right. So congratulations to Aaron Gordon. Congratulations to Alfred Şengün. Congratulations to all of the guys that got extensions. And you didn't need a max contract to get it, right? I get that you want the most money that you could possibly get. I never begrudge any athlete going to get that. But understanding what your value is in the new NBA, because there really is a new NBA right now, if you want security, I can't imagine spending $150 million in my lifetime or $1 million in my lifetime, except on a house, maybe. But that's over 30 years.
You're never buying a house.
I know that. And I'm never buying a car. And so congrats to that. And I look forward to hopefully 1 out of 3 wins tomorrow night as Syracuse plays Pittsburgh. So go Qs.
Go Qs.
And congratulations to your Maryland Terrapins on a great win.
Yeah. I was supposed to be there in a suite. But I had.
It would have been sweet. Would have been sweet. Would have been sweet to be in a suite. Go ahead.
I would have been really drunk. It wouldn't have been too good. Anyway. So this guy, Devontae, I heard was traded. And it was on Pat McAfee, because that's how I find out things, because I'm 22 years old. I have the attention span of a gnat. I still don't see this working. I'm sorry, I don't. Getting the band back together doesn't typically work. And I don't know where this team goes from here. You are now officially being run. If you weren't before, you're being run by a 41-year-old quarterback whose record is 2 games behind what Zach Wilson's was last year. I do wish you the best of luck with it, buddy, but I ain't feeling it right now. And I know I know that this schedule gets easier, but you're 3 games out already. You're out of coach, and I kind of feel this has a similar feel to what the Nets had when Durant came in.
Yeah, except I haven't given up first-round picks. That's the only solace. I have not given up first-round picks, or my team has not. Okay, Seth Kamen, Sean Palmer, thanks you all for joining. Next week we'll finish our NBA preview, start our NHL preview, and maybe we'll get to a couple of players that you just didn't remember were on another team. Such as
probably talk some World Series too. Go Yankees.
Yeah, that too. All right. Talk to you guys later. See ya.